Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host Ahmed Nawaz with the latest roundup of sports. Let's take a look at what we're discussing. It is Test cricket supremacy. Test cricket at its best. These past couple of days have given us the real treat of the true format of the game. First of all, we talk about West Indies beating Australia after 27 years in a test match at the Gabba, and it all belongs to Shemar Joseph. A fairy tale from a security guard all the way to playing first-class cricket a couple of months back and then debuting for the West Indies and then winning, being, I think, we can easily say, being the lone ranger in this West Indies side that carried that burden of victory. And, you know, he proved to all of us why these stories are going to go down in history for time and, you know, tell a tale of certain people and individuals who always believed in the process, who went through the hard work and determination and grit to reach the very top. And I mean, you know, it is remarkable. Even just reading about his journey from the hospital to the stadium after he was hit on the toe by a Mitchell Starc Yorker, and then, you know, everything in between. He kept on saying that I just want to be fit enough to bowl. I will keep on bowling until we win the game. It is absolutely remarkable. Australians had a lot to say. Emotions were high. We saw Hooper, we saw Brian Lara. They had tears in their eyes. We all knew what this meant to this West Indies side as well. And, you know, talk about the post-match presentation when they said that, you know, it's a bit annoying as well if somebody from Australia is telling you that you're pathetic, you don't have that competition in you as well to give the Australian side. And he said that the skipper said that was our biggest motivation, and he also flexed his muscles there as well. So we've got a lot to talk about in this test match. Then we move on to India versus England. Another host that lost at its own home soil, England beating India in a remarkable recovery. I think the way Ollie Pope has batted carried the burden, 196, just 4 runs short of a magnificent double 100. Even Ben Stokes, the skipper, has said that since he's taken over as England captain, this is the best victory they've ever had, and certainly so. I mean, they completely outclassed India, and I think India fell into their own trap. That's what actually happened. And now news coming from India for the second test is that they've got a couple of injuries. Ravindra Jadeja is also not available, and there's another injury as well. And Washington Sundar is coming back to the side. And also, Sarfaraz has finally been given a debut now. He's expected to make his debut for India in this second test match that takes place as well. But, you know, the way Hartley's bowled, all of us were skeptical that he's not been able to, you know, provide that bite that was needed from the pitch. But he certainly did that. I think it's a remarkable comeback from Hartley, taking 9 wickets in the game, 7 in the innings. And the way they've bamboozled India is remarkable. I mean, just 1 over left in the day and you're able to pull this off. This will probably go down as the best victory, like Ben Stokes said, that they've enjoyed. Time now to introduce our guest to discuss Test cricket further and also analyze these 2 different games on 2 different soils and 2 different conditions. First of all, we've been joined by commentator, international broadcaster and presenter and our sports expert, Asif Ahmed. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, Asif?
Wa alaikum assalam, Ahmed. I'm very well, thank you.
We've also been joined by first-class cricketer, cricket expert as well, Mr. Kashif. Assalamu alaikum, Kashif Majid. How are you, sir?
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you, Ahmed.
Great to have you on the show. We've also been joined by cricket analyst and expert Sabir Hussain. Assalamu alaikum, Sabir. How are you?
Wa alaikum assalam, Ahmed. I'm good, thank you.
We're great to have you gentlemen on the show, and like I said, that this has been a remarkable tale of victory when you talk about the West Indies. Particularly this test match alone, there was a lot going into that as well. Probably if we have a report, we're going to be seeing that as well, seeing all the details and, you know, everything in between. But, you know, first of all, Asif, I must ask you, I mean, West Indies, it was very disappointing not to see them in the World Cup, not qualifying. You know, we were all already very skeptical that, you know, their cricket is going down. But at that moment, they suddenly surprised not just us, but the entire world through a format that is the true format, the most difficult one, and up against a team right now which is the best in the world.
Well, I think that if you see their record in last couple of decades, that West Indies struggling. If you do remember in 1999 World Cup, their team, even they didn't qualify for the semis. Then talk about 2003, 2007, and even now they didn't qualify for the World Cup in 2023. So disappointment was there, and right after there, when we see that their key players, their some important players, they were playing league cricket, they were playing good, I mean, in the league cricket, but they were not performing well for their national side. Let me take some important names like Kieron Pollard, or even, Chris Gale, or, if you take some more names. After Darren Sammy, they were struggling even in with the skipper as well. Their skippers, they were not up to the mark with their performances. But what happened in the test match against Australia, of course, it's a historical victory. Right after the 1997, they waited this for 27 years. And that was a record, chase in 1997. They've chased 418. But now in Shamar Joseph, if we talk about his bowling, right before the show you were talking to Kashif, see his line and that he was bowling, it was not bowling short pitch deliveries. What he was doing even with his injured toe, that was phenomenal. Of course, he stunned everybody. And the Australian batters, of course, you know that all of them, they're really good with the technique. But the good thing is with the West Indies, they were really good in the field and their plan was really clear. And that's why everyone was in tears, especially talk about the Brian Charles Lara and Carl Hooper. So I think amazing moments. Congratulations to the entire nation of West Indies. The way they were struggling in the cricket, they came back strongly.
Absolutely, and I agree with Asif. I think that this comeback is probably one of the strongest that we've seen. Determination, mentally they were very strong. I just want to mention we had Sean Tate in their dugout as well. I'm just saying, I'm not connecting it to Pakistan, but I'm just saying he was there. But Kashif, when we talk about adapting to the situation, to the conditions, something that we've always talked about with Pakistan cricket, even after playing a side game, we were unable to actually recognize. It's not just about, as Asif said, that Shamar was hitting the right length, fuller deliveries. The pace was the, I think, main reason why Australians didn't have any clue. Most of them got batted, I think, by or out bowled by pace. But then again, if I look at West Indies batting as well, the way they adapted to the situation, they've immediately realized that they've got to play with a straight bat, not square of the wicket, and that's where they got their runs.
Ahmed, talking about the technicalities of the cricket, I still remember those days when we used to say that the Latin Americans played their football by heart and the Europeans played right through their mind. And this is entirely true for the West Indies when it comes to their cricket. It's always about the emotions. It's always about taking your heart into the game and involving yourself. And this is what West Indians have done throughout their history. The moment they join the cricketing field, we still remember Malcolm Marshall doing all sort of cricketing histories, making all sort of cricketing histories, all sort of tricks with his broken hand and ripping through the England. And this is what Shamar Joseph have done. And yes, the extra bit of motivation for them, this is very important. Second important thing, when we come to the technical part of the cricket, all these guys are new. They haven't played much of the first class cricket. They haven't been on the international circuit. So Australia have to dig deep to find out what they gonna ball against them and what will be the plan. So they just stay back and waited for their moments, and this is not going to happen against any team. When we talk about senior campaigners, seasoned campaigners, you always have got a plan. Just to remember Pat Cummins bowling that shoebox against Babar Azam. This has always been the plan. But when it comes to the newcomer, normally those sides who have got technical edge or who have got data with them and data analysts, when they just tend to struggle. But having said all those things, I think it's that moment where we can find out a hero in a test test cricket and a test playing nation. While everyone else was talking about this is the year of the T20 World Cup, we are creating heroes in the test cricket.
Well, Sabir, we followed this journey of not just Shamar, but I mean these other players as well. There have been, history tells us, problems with the cricket board and the players. They've had financial issues. They've had many things going wrong on their end. But then again, like I said, every now and then West Indies does something so special that the whole cricketing fraternity is stunned. And like I said, that they were going against a team which is right now the best in the world.
They are basically, talented cricketers. I mean, by the way, it was a super Sunday yesterday, when India basically lost against England, and then, West Indies beating Australia in Australia. It was a wonderful day.
South African women beating Australian women as well. So everything happening.
Talking about West Indies cricket, they are basically known for, for their fast bowling. They are the team basically who are producing, a couple of marvelous victories every decade. We still remember under the captaincy of Darren Sammy, they basically, won a T20 World Cup. Then they basically won Champions Trophy as well in England, against England. So they are basically, some exceptional cricketers. I mean, yes, they have been, facing some kind of problems as far as the cricketing board is concerned. Like senior players like Karen Pollard, Darren Bravo as well. But I mean, let's talk about basically Test cricket. I mean, my favorite format of this is the Test cricket, and people basically remember the performances of Test cricket. I mean, Mohammad Yusuf double hundred at Lords, Shoaib Akhtar's spells in Multan, Pakistan's tour to India in 1999. So basically, Test performances are basically remembered for longer time, not the performances on the basis of T20 format. So yes, I mean, simply exceptional performance for the youngster, and thanks to his dedication. He was injured, hit on the toe as well. Again, he was basically leaking some runs. I mean, he bowled, in both innings, 11 overs. In the first innings, 56 runs, and he basically picked up only 1 wicket. He was basically leaking so many runs. I mean, but hats off to
right. We'll
the
just
captain.
go towards a short break, but stay tuned. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back. Sabir, you'd like to continue, please.
Yes, I mean, I was talking about the Test format. I mean, Kashif Majid was saying this is the year of T20, World Cup. But I mean, let's appreciate the performances of youngsters. I mean, good to see, some youngsters are performing, especially in this particular format, and this basically encourages, the young generation of every country to play, especially red ball cricket. I mean, a couple of our Pakistani fast bowlers basically, they were not interested to play Test cricket. I mean, these are the example for a Pakistani youngsters as well to basically to follow the footsteps of senior players like we used to have a couple of Wasim Akram, Waqar Yunus as well, Shoaib Akhtar. They used to have remarkable performances, especially in the Test format, and still we are remembering those performances. But I mean, hats off to West Indian individual players. I mean, their dedication as well. I still can recall the tears of Brian Lara, Carl Hooper as well. So this shows the emotions, the attachment, especially if you are playing for your nation, the dedication is very important, and that basically shows the West Indian cricketers. I mean, good lesson for Pakistani cricketers, by the way.
No, I'm not sure. I don't think we tend to take even today we had some unconfirmed news that there's going to be a very strict policy and they're going to go after players now who are evading fitness test and whatnot. So I doubt that we're going to take a lesson anyway. But Asif, like I said, that Australia were playing to their strength. West Indies realized that as well. They just played, I think, simple textbook cricket that we've all talked about. The most important part on their end for their batting is because it was remarkable they got above 300. Because like I said, out of all people playing in Australia in the past couple of test matches that we've seen there, West Indies has got to be the most technically aware that they were playing with a straight bat, not trying to hit square of the wicket.
But you know that in your intro and when Kashif was talking about, you were talking about his pace. That was the X factor actually. And Australian batters, they were not expecting that kind of bowling from a youngster who hardly played 6, 7 first-class games, and then came to Australia. I was just reading the facts about Shamar Joseph that he grew up in a village where only 350 people are living.
Yes.
One thing, and even they didn't have the internet in the last 5 years. What does it mean that this kind of talent, when you give them chances, and of course we see in the future that how he bowls, and of course I'm quite sure that this victory will give them an energy. This victory is a booster for the West Indies because they were struggling hard, and as Sabir was discussing about the problems which in the board of West Indies, the same problems we're facing in Pakistan as well. And as you said, that we're not ready to learn from our mistakes. One thing. The second thing is that your intent, the nationalism, where the nationalism is. We had discussed this earlier in the previous show that Mohammad Hafiz said that the Pakistani players, they were even talking about and even thinking and even planning for the league cricket. They were not interested in the bilateral series. So I think this kind of intent will not give you a good and huge success as the West Indies team got, and everyone is talking about Shamar Joseph is talk of the town, hot potato. People are just searching that who he is. just because of his good performances. And I think that the factor of nationalism, the factor to play for your country, that is that was the utmost, I say, that was on the high sky. And that's why the West Indies and their players, they brought the energy and they brought the victory. Pakistan is missing that.
Absolutely. I mean, like Asif mentioned, the story of Shamar is so great. From Guyana, from the main city, it's 225 kilometers up river, the Kajne River, and then 2 days by boat to reach his village, a place which only got internet after the year 2018, working as a security guard. I mean, all of these things have been coming to light just because of this performance. Had West Indies not won a test match, nobody would have even been talking about this. That's the reality of the cruel world as well. But obviously, Australia is a side that knows how to make a comeback. They are the strongest side in the world. But you know, every now and then, like I said, that the West Indies tend to surprise most of us through their performances. But Kashif, during that break, you were mentioning something very important, that it all comes down to the fact that how consistently can you continue with such performances. And the future of West Indian cricketers is very uncertain as well, whether they stick to playing Test cricket for West Indies or whether they opt for something that they're known for, and that is, of course, commercial T20 leagues.
Okay, just going against the tide. Shamar Joseph, now a test match or test cricket sensation, a test fast bowler. Let's wait for at least 5 to 6 months and we'll see where Shamar Joseph will end. Because the league cricket that always attracted those who wanted to have some financial gains. And when we're talking about the background of Shamar Joseph, we still feel that he'll be financially motivated once he becomes the superstar of the world. Yes, we are talking about Shamar Joseph nationalism because he has conquered a peak for them against Australia, winning a test match in Australia in their unconquered castle of Gabba. But still, maybe now is the time that he has to decide whether he'll be playing for the West Indies with the same zeal and the zest, or he'll be joining franchise cricket pretty soon, because now he's a star. Before that test match, nobody knows about Shamar Joseph. So one argument for the sake of that Shamar Joseph. Second important thing, again, a technical aspect of the game. Ahmed, how many times we have seen Australia scoring 400 runs in a test match in a single inning? For the last 5 years, I can hardly mention 1 to 2, 3 odd times where Australia was scoring bulk of the runs in the test cricket. They are pretty much a bowling dominant side who's been playing test cricket through their bowlers. The 4 frontline bowlers with Nathan Lyon, the 3 fast bowlers and the Scott Boland there said, they are dominantly winning test matches through their bowling. And this is where West Indies have struck hard. They've scored some runs, courtesy brilliant batting down the order and in the middle order. And then once they got their tails up with the ball, Australia is a vulnerable batting side even in their own backyard. Just remember Pakistani bowling lineup, the inexperienced bowling lineup just got through them 4 times in a row, I guess. They bowled out Australia in their own backyard. So most probably Australia right now with their batting is just not the Australia way back in the 90s or in the start of the 2000s or the full decade of the 2000s. So this is where we can or any team can beat Australia, and India have done twice in a row in Australia.
Absolutely. I think that's why Ian Bishop said that the case of Shamar needs to be taken very curiously and the board needs to manage him so obviously he doesn't deviate to other leagues for the sake of financial incentives. But that is something that is happening in the world, and I think to prioritize test cricket, certain steps are truly needed. But then again, Sabir, we agree that certain players need to be taken care of. They are special for some teams as well.
They are basically, it is basically individual's responsibility. How basically, someone is, he is basically carrying himself. Obviously, you are basically getting so much fame because of the performances, Shamar Joseph, Kashif Majid rightly said. I mean, now it will be important for him to decide whether he's going for, for franchise cricket, or basically he would, love to play test matches for the country. I mean, it's very important for him to decide. Obviously, if you are, getting such kind of performances, the world is watching you. You are basically, getting so much praise. We have seen a couple of Pakistani players basically on the basis of few T20 performances. They are basically, getting lots of respect. Obviously, some social media interaction as well. So because of these, I mean, you have to carry yourself very, equally. Otherwise, you will be in trouble. I mean, we have seen a couple of Pakistani youngsters basically demolish their careers by their own. I mean, but I mean, it will be important to see how basically Shamar Joseph is basically carrying himself, because he is the one basically who first time he bowls pink ball. This is what basically commentators were saying. I mean, again, I would say hats off to his dedication. He basically individually performed wonderfully well for West Indies, though basically they had a small kind of a target. But Kashif Majid again rightly said, Australian batting lineup, they are basically struggling. They are basically dominating test cricket for a couple of years. I mean, obviously because of the captaincy of Pat Cummins and their bowling as well. So their batting basically needs to step up. In 90s, yes, they used to have Justin Langer, Matthew Hayden, Ricky Ponting himself, Michael Clarke, Damien Martin. They used to have couple of wonderful top order batsmen. They used to dominate. Again, Adam Gilchrist as well. But now they have been struggling as far as their batting is concerned. They are winning the test matches on the basis of bowling. You cannot win the test matches again and again. They have to, particularly Australian, they have to back themselves as far as the batting lineup is concerned. But again, hats off to test cricket, I would say.
Well, I would agree that consistency will only tell through time what they achieve in this series, particularly what happens after this. Then they've got obviously World Cups and everything coming in between, how things will unfold. Now, of course, we take our focus to another part of the world where another test match gave us some astonishing results. England managing to beat India in Hyderabad in the first test match. And boy, was it remarkable, because what Asif, like I said, that India probably set a trap, but unfortunately fell in it themselves. That's what really happened.
Oh yeah, that's fine. I mean, and we were thinking that India came up with the good spinners, Jadeja, Ashwin, but the way Hartley bowled, I think it's been amazing. And once again, the England fielders, they were really good with the catching, especially close catches towards Selim off, Selim on. Talk about their batting, Ollie Pop, of course. Now I think you must be happy, because right before this series, you were thinking that Ollie Pop or the rest of the batters, they're not in good form. But the way he played this innings, almost 200, that was, I think, unforgettable for him. And not only this, the captaincy of Ben Stokes, very smart moves from him, especially using his spinners, because, this is the fourth innings. And on the last day, you can't say that, you can't wait for the last day to bowl, all of your super bowlers. And right after the victory, they are supers now, because they got a victory, isn't it?
Well, it was interesting. We're going to come to India's batting in a bit, but Kashif, how would you highlight, because England were proactive. They had Joe Root bowling with the new ball. Hartley came up with 9 wickets in the match. So they were realizing the situation and what it meant to them as well.
To start with, as a batsman or playing on those surfaces, I always feel a spinner is threatening. If a left-arm spinner to a right-handed batsman, if he has got the ability to straighten the ball from the length, spin is always there. We all know it's a blind thing for us that it's a spinning track and every ball will spin. But the important aspect of that bowling is how many bowlers have got the potency of bowling the arm ball or the straight one, which will actually castle the stumps or will get an opportunity for the LBW. So this is where India was special with Jadeja and Akshar Patel. They both know how to use their arm balls as well as spin the balls. This is where the innings Ollie Pop has played is exceptional. Because as a right-handed batsman playing against those left armers, you have to be extra cautious, because you have to protect your front pad for the LBW as well as your edge towards the slip for the.
I mean, I've never seen the ball keeping this low. Yes. The way I've seen certain dismissals as well.
And second, Ahmed, if you
yes.
Second important thing for India batting, I think everybody should realize now they are not the Indian batting which we used to have in the 90s, again that 90s and 2000s, because Hartley just knows one way of spinning the ball. He is not that kind of a bowler who can use his arm ball, who can uses his the straight ball to the right-handed batsman or the left-handed batsman. Still, he got every wicket of a spinning delivery. That means the Indian batsmen were not prepared even for the one type of delivery.
Technically struggling, basically.
That was a spinning delivery going away, and same applies to the Joe Root. He only bowls an off spinner. He is not that kind of a guy who can bowl a carom ball, doosra, someone with the arm ball. He just bowled off spinners, and still he got wickets. So there's a question mark with the Indian batting technicalities.
I mean, they're even thinking of changing their batting order as well. People are asking Rohit Sharma to come a bit down and probably change the opening combination. Shubman Gill is in all sorts of trouble, but now they don't have KL Rahul anymore. Jadeja is also injured. They're bringing in Sarfaraz, who's going to make a debut in Washington Sundar. But I think to India's credit, Akshar Patel was brilliant with the ball. He really paired up with Jadeja well, with Ashwin as well. Ashwin obviously, the best there is in India. But Sabir, certainly the call is there that it is a troubled time for Indian batters at the moment.
It is. I mean, again, hats off to England. Basically, they won the toss. They basically, they had a flying start. I mean, they forgot they were not playing in Pakistan, Rawalpindi. Then they realized they are playing at Hyderabad, India. So I mean, they had a couple of good, I would say, sessions, especially on day 4, the day 3 as well. Wonderful comeback by England. No one was expecting on such kind of performance, especially from England batsmen. We have seen Australian batsmen basically they struggled, or South African batsmen basically they all of them basically struggled against mighty spinning bowling lineup of India against Ashwin, Akshar Patel as well, Ravindra Jadeja as well. But the way basically Ollie Pope played, it was a remarkable inning for him. This shows kind of a temperament he basically shown. Again, the run rate was superb, 4.11 run rate, in 121 overs. It was a fabulous performance by Ollie Pope. He basically reminds me, Ian Bale kind of a batsman, Nasir Hussain at his young age, Joe Root as well. He basically played, some classic kind of innings. I mean, Kevin Peterson basically everybody was praising the inning basically he played, and that was the difference between between the England and India. Otherwise, getting a lead of 190, India they have basically some kind of overconfidence. I would say that they should have brought Jasprit Bumrah. He was bowling superbly well, especially on this particular trick. I mean, it was spinning so much. In spite of that, Jasprit Bumrah should have been given some more, overs. Otherwise, the things could have been very difficult for England. Heads off to the captaincy of Ben Stokes. Rehan Ahmed, he basically bowled very less overs as compared to Joe Root. He basically bowled more overs than Rehan Ahmed. Again, Hartley, he basically bowls wonderfully well. Youngster, playing his first Test match against mighty Indian batting lineup. Shreyas Iyer, Rohit Sharma as well, KL Rahul, Shubman Gill. He has been struggling, by the way, but I mean, he basically bowled remarkably well. And again, a wonderful run out by Ben Stokes. That was the turning point because they were basically, 100 and something for 5. Then Ravindra Jadeja's run out by Ben Stokes. It was another turning point. So there were some crucial moments.
A short break, but stay tuned. We'll be right back. And welcome back. Asif, now India have lost the first Test match. Like I said, it was probably embarrassing for them that they've lost at home against England on a wicket which probably suited them the most. An argument that has been defended so much by their skipper Rohit Sharma that we have the right to make pitches, that suit our conditions. So everything was to their liking, but it didn't happen. Now, what's the way forward? Is the captain going to be sacked? Is the board going to be changed? Is something dramatic going to happen, or will sanity prevail in one part of the world at least?
Well, actually, you said that embarrassing. We lost against Australia. We lost against England. We lost. Actually didn't lost against New Zealand, but that was we didn't win even. So was that embarrassing for Pakistan as well?
That was a learning phase for us, Asif. We were trying new combinations.
In a transitional
phase.
Well, I think that we should be clear that this origin, the subcontinent, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, that whenever we lose against the English side or Australia or England, then we talk about the pitches. we don't talk about the quality cricket they played, and we didn't play the good cricket actually. Rightly said by Kashif. See the batters. Some of their batters, they're really good in the T20, but you know, Shubman Gill technically is so good. KL Rahul, even you guys were talking about the sweep shot. He was playing some sweep shot, but you give some credit to the English side that they have taken good catches. They were good in the fielding, and then of course, if we talk about their bowling. So yes, Hartley was the difference, and I must say that the batters, when they were playing on the back foot, especially, then they wouldn't get any sort of help, because Hartley was just coming with the straight, within the stumps, and then he tries to bowl outside the off some couple of deliveries. But his line of length was key, and I think that you should give credit, instead of talking about the changes in the board and the team management. I think that this is the first defeat. You'll have a couple of more games, and I think that the Indian team got the ability to bounce back.
Well, certainly, and I think it's going to be an interesting series going forward. But Kashif, Sabir Hussain and Kiasif, thank you very much for joining us. Of course, there's a lot happening as well in the days to come. We will be talking about the Pakistan Super League and the supplementary draft that took place as well. A lot of things are there as well. A lot of teams are making certain changes to their sides based on player availability. But it's going to be nonetheless very interesting. Well, that wraps it up from me and the entire team. It's goodbye for now.